Welcome to another Hickory Hack. Today I'm showing you how to clean the club head. And by clean, I mean take the rust off of a hickory-shafted golf club head. What I have here are two Tom Stewart club heads that I came across in an antique shop. I think a lot of people would pass these clubs over because they look like they're too rusted or beyond repair. But really all this is some surface rust that can be removed with some cleaning vinegar, a little bit of elbow grease with some steel wool scrubbing, and then finally a follow-up with some Remington oil wipes to keep them from becoming rusted again. So what I like to do is use a large bowl that's way bigger than the clubs I'm going to be putting in it. I usually only try to put 2 heads in at a time. The trick here is you don't want the clubs to be touching when they're in the vinegar, and you want them to be completely submersed. The reason for that is because if the clubs are touching or part of the club head is sticking out of the vinegar, air is going to be hitting that spot while the vinegar is hitting the rest, and you're going to get an uneven patina basically. You're going to get some vinegar stains and marks on the club that you can otherwise avoid if you just keep them separate and completely submersed. So as far as these clubs go, I could tell right away that the spade mashie was going to be the easier one to work with. The rust looked like it was caked on pretty good, but once it sat in here for a couple minutes and with about 3 to 4 minutes of scrubbing with 000 steel wool, pretty much all the rust came off, as you can tell right here. So this club's pretty much ready to go after only a 5-minute soak, and ready to put on some of the rem oil. You can pick these up from Walmart or any store that sells gun maintenance supplies. I like to use these after a round as well. Sometimes you don't realize you're getting moisture on your clubs during a round, and when you get them back home, you might just set them aside and you'll notice a little bit of surface rust the next day. Well, this will prevent that, and it'll keep you from having to do this whole process of rust removal. So as you can see, the rust is gone, but the gray mottled patina of the club is still there, which is what I'm after. I'm not trying to make these clubs look like they were made yesterday. I'm trying to help them keep their age, but be rust-free basically. So now back to the mashie niblick. This is 7 hours later. It's had more time to soak. You can see that the club head is starting to come through the rust a little bit, but the rust is really stubborn on this club, so it's probably going to benefit from a longer soak. So now we're 24 hours later. You can see more of the head underneath the rust coming through, but there's still some spots on the hosel and especially on the face that I can tell are going to be a pretty tough scrub and would just benefit from a longer soak than this even. So I could keep scrubbing, or I could just be patient and let the vinegar do its work, and that's what I opted to do. So I let it soak for another full day. This is now 48 hours from the original soak, and you can tell that most of the rust has been loosened up pretty well at this point. It's still going to require some scrubbing, but actually not a lot. This wasn't a very tough scrub at this point. The face started to clean up pretty well. The hosel notch where it meets the face is usually a stubborn spot, and that was cleaning up pretty well too. So I'm pretty satisfied with how much rust I was able to get off of this. Now again, as I mentioned in the beginning, a collector or somebody who just doesn't know any different is going to look at this club in an antique store and think, what's the point of buying that? It's not worth it. Well, in my opinion, it's still completely worth it. There's a lot of pitting on this club, so the value of it is diminished, but it's still completely playable and is actually going to be a great player for me. This formerly rusted Tom Stewart cost me only $15 in the antique store, and now it's ready for the course again. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe.